Hello all and welcome to this video presenting my personal view of the top 10 tricks in Goldeneye's most difficult play mode. For those of you who've played Goldeneye before, you may well be familiar with the difficulty modes Agent, Secret Agent and 00 Agent. However, what you may be less familiar with is that if you complete the entire game on 00 Agent, which is no mean feat in itself, you unlock the 007 settings. This is a feature that allows one to toggle the characteristics of the enemy, and it is here that we start our journey. DLTK stands for Dark License to Kill, which is essentially a max stats mode of the game, a way of making the game as difficult as possible to complete. Having unlocked the 007 settings, we push all the enemy characteristics up to the maximum. First, enemy accuracy, which is set to 100%. This means that if a guard has a clear line of sight on you, they will hit you. The definition of clear line of sight is a little bit murky, but we will see more about that later. 0% accuracy is fun if you fancy running around without fear of harm. It's irrelevant here, but a good way of getting the realistic Bond film experience. Second, we have enemy reaction speed, which is also set to 100%. This means that the guards will begin their animations as soon as they see you. It should be noted that this animation is not necessarily to shoot. It could be to run, or perhaps, worst of all, it could be to roll. Because there is nothing worse than a roll when you're trying to get some clean headshots in. Third, we have enemy damage, which is set to 1000%. This means that a single shot by a guard will kill you, unless you have body armour, or you're hit by the famously bad club that only imparts 60% damage. Finally, enemy health is also set to 1000%, and this is probably the most famous of the settings. Typically, most guards take a single headshot to kill. Under these settings, your typical Garden Variety guard takes 10 headshots to perish. These numbers can be reduced with more powerful weapons, but can also severely increase if guards have body armour or you don't have any weapons at all. There is a variant of the game called License to Kill, which sets this to 0%. This is a relaxing break, and the enemies have so little health that they will yield to any hit. Well, except if it hits their hat. But back to the dark variety. This game is not for the faint of heart, but is a fantastic challenge for anyone who enjoys playing Goldeneye and wants to take the challenge to the next level. What follows is a list of my favourite tricks and strategies that are used to ease the completion of Goldeneye under these settings. I stress that these aren't necessarily the best for however one might judge such a thing, but they are my personal favourites for either their effectiveness, inventiveness, or just the sheer fun. I hope you enjoy. Our first trick takes us to Mexico and the complex of Teotihuacan, I can only assume. The first of two bonus levels, Aztec is unlocked by beating the entire game on Secret Agent. From our first steps in the level, we are greeted by three delightful guards mere meters from the little alcove in which we hide. Adorned in the finest yellow garb and equipped with assault rifles, they pose an intimidating start to be sure. But fortunately, one of the guards loves nothing more than to reach into his breast pocket and pull a grenade. There is not a single completion on DLTK that does not rely on alerting this guard, allowing him to throw a grenade at you, and then luring the other two guards into its explosion. Removing these guards is fairly trivial, although surviving yourself can be anything but. However, I digress, since this isn't the trick we're discussing, although it is related. Once we've eliminated these guards, we gain an assault rifle, but have a mere 30 bullets in it. Sure, we have our PP7, but there are some powerful enemies coming up, who are both dangerous and distant. There's one guard immediately behind the sliding door, one behind a crate in perfect line of sight. There are a further 2 guards around the corner in perfect earshot, and beyond that there are another 2 guards behind crates who will shoot you as soon as see you. So, not only do we have to eliminate many a guard, but we must also be parsimonious with our ammo. 10 headshots is the going rate, remember, and not all of your shots will necessarily connect, particularly on guards who are reasonably far away. What would be super handy is if there was a trick that allowed you not to have to worry about that. Well, there is. Unfortunately, there's only so much we can do about the number of guards, but we can certainly circumvent the ammo shortage. Now for the chicanery and the abuse of Goldeneye's controller setup. Goldeneye allows the user to select between multiple controller setups, some of which include spreading the buttons over 2 different controllers. This allows Bond to perform actions during the opening and closing cutscenes to levels. So let's select controller style 2.4, and this allows the disembodied soul of Commander Bond to shoot during the level's opening cutscene. If we're fortunate and get this particular cutscene, our shooting will lure a solitary Moonraker guard equipped with the eponymous Moonraker laser to the start of the level. Once he arrives, and it takes a bit of time, we can dispossess him of his laser, and since the laser is both virtually silent and has infinite ammo, we have significantly simplified the start of the level. Huzzah! Our next trick takes us to St. Petersburg and the custody of Russian military intelligence. We find ourselves forthwith in the interrogation room of the GRU Military Intelligence Archives, quite sensibly shortened to archives, in the same way as it is entirely reasonable to have used GRU instead of the rather snappy Main Directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation. We are in the company of 2 Dostoevsky-wielding guards, a cabinet, a chair, and a table with detached PP7 and ammo lying upon it. Like a classic locked room problem, how does Bond get out of this? As soon as Bond picks up the gun, the guards will rain bullets upon you. Bond may consider shooting the guards. Not only is this tricky given there are 2 guards, if you make too much noise, and by this I mean not really very much noise at all hell breaks loose and guards will be summoned from all over the level. Well, as you may have gathered by now, there is a way out of this, and it uses 2 fundamental tenets of Goldeneye DLTK play. Number 1, you don't have to shoot the guards. Whilst guards on DLTK take 10 headshots as standard to eliminate, similar and more effective results can be elicited via the developer's wonderful decision to make almost everything in the game explode. Cardboard boxes, filing cabinets, consoles throughout the game are positive powder kegs ready to blow at the merest 5 shots of your garden variety pistol. So, instead of shooting the guards, we can shoot the cabinet and get rid of them that way. But what about the aforementioned Dostoevsky and the potential noise complaints? Number 2, by crouching behind the table and chair, we can abuse the geometry of the game. We can shoot below the table, but the guards can't. The chair and table create some invisible walls which prevent the guards having a clear line of sight on us. As such, the guards will attempt to shoot us but, depending on their position, be unable to breach the table. Now, sometimes a guard will be too far left to have line of sight, and sometimes the guards will destroy the table, blowing your cover, so it's not foolproof. However, the protection is significant, and if we shoot sufficiently low and far to the left on the cabinet, both guards will be removed without laying a glove on you. And this leaves you clear to carry on the rest of the level, whether that be by stealth or by battering through it in true Bozon style. Severnaya is our next location, and Bond finds himself dropped into a bunker, hosting a number of guards and most significantly the Goldeneye satellite control. It is incumbent upon Bob to sneak around, destroy surveillance equipment, photograph the satellite screen, copy the Goldeneye key, get the ineffable Boris to activate the mainframe and download data from it. Phew. Plenty of things to keep you occupied there, yet our next trick only takes place after most of this is already done. Once we have eliminated the necessary guards through a combination of isolation, lures, and blowing stuff up, our way is clear to get to Boris to activate the mainframe. However, as soon as we are able to download the data, an alarm sounds and 3 heavily armoured Special Forces chaps will infinitely spawn from the exit of the level. Look at these guys, they really mean business, as is evidenced, inarguably, by them wearing sunglasses indoors. They will also chase you indefinitely, so enjoy that. There are 2 main ways to get past these guards. First, you can lead them a merry dance through the level by getting them to follow you via the start of the level and then hoof it towards the exit. However, this makes me incredibly nervous, and fortunately there is a simpler solution. It transpires that, despite appearances, those 3 guards do not spawn as soon as the alarm sounds. They only spawn 20 seconds after the alarm triggers, and only if you are a set distance from the exit. By using this knowledge, we can lead Boris to the mainframe, and while he works away, we can get on our bike, making much haste for the exit of the level, and trigger the alarm and open the door. Run back, hit Z to download the data, spin around and back we go. With sufficient speed, you will always beat the spawning guards, and you have escaped scot-free, with nary a guard in sight. That's what we like to see. Just remember to have selected the data thief before you trigger the alarm. Pausing to get it afterwards takes too long, and you'll almost definitely see this. There's a good chat, 007. The Egyptian level takes place in the Al-Sagira Temple and sees Bond do battle with the famously deadly Baron Samedi. A dark and labyrinthine level, the sudden appearance of the guards from seemingly nowhere is only punctuated by the menacing laugh of the good Baron. The Baron has to be killed 3 times and has vast amounts of health. As such, the golden gun is an absolute must. So, you've dashed to the golden gun room, you've navigated the floor puzzle, picked up the golden gun, eliminated or outrun some guards, now to tackle the first Baron. This is easy. You can just peek out the side of the column and shoot him. The game creates an invisible wall above the foot of the column that you can shoot through, quite invisible to the enemies. Now to the second Baron. Pretty much the same thing, although this time he takes 5 headshots. The column will still provide you with adequate protection. There is a solid chance that some spawning guards will join you. So it is getting a little bit trickier, but it's absolutely fine with practice. The level goes dark. A deep cackle is heard. The third Baron appears in a far-flung part of the level, and more guards are spawning from somewhere I've never quite been able to identify. You run to his location, through the secret door and past the drone guns at breakneck speed. You arrive at the obelisk. You dash to its cover and emerge to the other side. You start blasting as fast as the golden gun allows, which is annoyingly slow. You get a couple of good licks on your foe before he launches into a glorious forward roll. You lose him for a moment, and you're dead. There are 3 major problems with the third Baron. First, he dual wields Moonraker lasers, so will do more damage than Bond can survive, even with the body armour you pick up earlier in the level. Second, he takes 9 headshots to eliminate. If there's a plus side here, it's that unlike every other infernal guard in the game, the Baron's top hat counts as his head. Third, and most annoyingly, is that whatever way you enter the final room, he will see you. The Baron only starts animating when he sees Bond. For the previous 2 Barons, you hide behind the column so he never sees you. This is not possible on the third Baron. As soon as you enter the room, you're dealing with an active antagonist in all his shooting and running and rolling glory. If only there was a way to stop him being active. The final Baron is very hard to kill, and our next trick simplifies this vastly. The trick begins at the second Baron. Rather than killing him in place, we remove most of his health with 3 headshots and a body shot. Essentially, we want to hear the sound effect. From here, we run away to the obelisk room, ensuring that the Baron sees us. This is critical, as otherwise he won't chase you and will just stay where he is. When we get to the obelisk room, we wait for him. We take the final shots to eliminate him in his second incarnation, and then hide behind the obelisk. Beware of spawning guards who may join in. Good advice is to monitor the stair entrance from here, and let the auto-aim tell you if a guard is coming. The third Baron will appear in a puff of smoke, and when he does, we can slowly edge out using the same, albeit slightly tighter, trick as with the columns earlier. The Baron won't see you, so you have a clear shot at a stationary target. Brilliant. Back to Seven Isle we go, this time finding ourselves captured by enemy guards and flung into a cell alongside Natalia. If, upon starting the level, you merely stay in your cell, Bond will quite of his own volition hatch a cunning escape plan, complaining of severe stomachache. Judging by the state of the cell, it seems unlikely that such a plan would garner any sympathy, and so it transpires. Anyway, to the actual level. You can escape the cell using the watch magnet attract and then slapping the patrolling guard. There are 2 main problems with this level, however. The absolute need for stealth and the lack of initial ammo. In general, the way it plays out is to lure a plethora of guards one at a time back to your cell and deal with them as quietly as possible. If you make too much noise, you risk alerting other guards or creating clones of existing guards, neither of which are particularly desirable. It is perhaps unsurprising that Bond slaps don't quite impart the damage of a well-aimed headshot, but if we want a gun, we must endure the 70 it takes, or roughly a minute's worth of time. Once we get a gun, it only has 10 bullets. That is just enough to kill the next guard if all our shots are perfect, so it's likely that we'll have to slap more than one guard. What fun! A stroll around the level with invisibility shows the 13 guards who stalk the early part of the level. That's a lot of slapping, or being very careful with ammo. Here I present the solution to the latter. The strategy under discussion here is my personal favourite lure. It isn't strictly necessary for a completion, and doesn't make the level vastly easier, but it does make it a good deal quicker, and is much more fun. We certainly get rid of a fair bit of the slapping. First, we need to clear out 3 guards from the room with the safe in. This is typically done by letting them see you one by one and running back to your cell and shooting them through the bars, or slapping them as they enter your cell. It is fortunate, as it is in many places on the DLTK adventure, that guards are unable to shoot through bars, windows, etc., whilst Bond can. Once that room is clear, we can begin. From outside, we shoot the innocent-looking console 4 times. This pre-nading process renders the console a single shot from erupting into flames. Now, run into the room and blast a flurry of bullets within close proximity of the pre-naded console and run away. Retreat away from the room and behind the sliding doors to the jail. Bunker 2 is a level that requires stealth, and guards are programmed to quickly descend upon any location significant noise is made. Here, we abuse this mechanic to a comical degree. If we have timed it correctly and got away swiftly enough, we will see a ludicrous number of guards running to the location of the noise you made. Wait a while, as there can be some stragglers. This strategy clears a fair few guards from the game, albeit it does create some clones, but mainly its purpose is to furnish you with sufficient ammunition to not have to worry about it from here on in. Once a clearly inappropriate number of guards have gone to check the source of the noise, we run to the sliding doors and see the results of our chicanery. A wonderful congregation of guards cluster around a console, quite oblivious to their pending doom and the powder keg they huddle around. And there you have it, all the ammunition you can possibly need. Bond and Natalia find themselves in the Cuban jungle and must navigate their way to the control center of Janus operations, navigating camouflaged guards on every turn, Xenia and her seemingly endless health, and a truly daunting final tunnel section. Getting to Xenia past the nearly 20 guards you meet along the way is a truly classic DLTK adventure. A series of well-timed lures and well-placed mines, as well as some cowering behind trees, can swiftly eliminate most of the guards in convenient groups. And if you're especially lucky, Natalia will help you out with a pretty powerful magnum. I wouldn't necessarily rely on it though, as she can often be found lagging behind, chilling out behind her own tree, or rolling around somewhere irrelevant. Once we get to the bridge, Xenia will pop into existence and begin her chase of you. She is an enemy that presents a great number of issues. First, her health is huge. On 00 Agent, she takes 9 headshots to eliminate, so I guess maybe takes 90 on DLTK. Second, a lot of that health is body armour, so she will not get stunned when you shoot her, at least in the very early knockings of any pugilistic encounter. Third, she is equipped with a unique combination of rapid-fire RCP-90 and the chaotic grenade launcher. If you can dodge the RCP-90 fire, there's a chance you will be jettisoned squarely into harm's way by a grenade she's launched in your general vicinity. Nevertheless, there is a trick, and I can think of no other trick that takes something very difficult and makes it completely trivial as this one does. You may well have played Goldeneye and considered the plane at the start of the level pointless adornment and having no practical purpose within the game. However, that is very untrue here. As soon as you trigger Xenia's "This time, Mr. Bond, the pleasure will be all mine," all you need to do is run back to the start of the level, duck under the plane's wing, and hide by this tree. This provides the perfect spot where Xenia knows where you are, but can't see you. Therefore, she can't shoot you. What is even better is you don't even need to use any of your own ammo, because you can just sit there for 5 minutes, in which time Natalia will do the work for you. So I guess you can just kick back and relax. Our trip to Kyrgyzstan probably provides the toughest challenge in all of DLTK. You have 8.5 minutes, tight corridors, more enemies than you can shake a stick at, and a good number of scientists doing their level best to get in your way. There aren't many places to hide, and many guards clone if you make too much noise. It can very quickly get out of hand. If you've ever played Silo, you will know what a mess it can be, and never is this truer than the end. Navigate the 3 guards sat behind silver crates, you round the corner into a corridor full of guards. Enter the next room, there's a standing guard and a patroller. Up the stairs and we find our old mate Oromov surrounded by 8 guards. Somehow get past them and you're within meters of the ending elevator. But there are 4 guards there milling around, another 3 around the next corner, and 2 immediately before the end. Not only that, but you generally only have a couple of minutes to do it. This trick is the one that yielded the first completion of the level back in 2013, and is complete madness. We pick up the action just before the silver crates. Here we dispatch the 3 guards, and try and get a grenade if we don't already have one. Once done, we turn around. We go back to the catwalk. You can see a single guard's head. He is one of the 4 guards at the beginning of the final room. Hitting him with some headshots will lure out the other 3 guards who stand around him, although interestingly not the guard himself. He is completely inactive in the level until Bond reaches a certain height, which happens when he is up the stairs in the satellite room, but we haven't got there yet. We're going to need to deal with him before the end of the level, but the running guards will stop that right now. Now, let's turn around. We shoot a single shot into the Oromov corridor, which is designed to lure out a single guard who stands between Oromov and the exit to his corridor. Do this quickly, because we also need to shoot one of the running guards whilst they are in the Oromov corridor. This will draw out two guards who are down the far end of the corridor, who are looking towards the good general. Now the game is afoot. Hot-tail it past the silver crates. As you approach the corner, duck, say a short prayer to your chosen god, and run to the shelter of this lone silver crate. You'll be under heavy fire, but you've got a decent shot of getting across. Once you're there, it will get a little bit noisy. There are a ludicrous number of guards in the corridor shooting at you, but you're quite safe. For some inexplicable reason, they will not run around the side of the crate, and just pepper the crate with seemingly an infinite hail of bullets. You should loose a few bullets yourself, which lures out the patrolling guard from the satellite room. Fire away and wait for around 21 seconds. Then you'll need to throw your grenade into the angle of the wall you were crouched up against. If all goes to plan, this guard will eliminate all the guards in the corridor. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but after all that it is quite possible that the grenade doesn't get rid of your current guard infestation. It is also quite possible that the grenade will not travel far enough and it will blow you up. But let's pretend it's worked. It is every bit as ridiculous as it is genius. We have eliminated 9 guards in one fell swoop and cleared the path to the exit quite considerably. And if you've ever wondered what the other side of the box looks like while you're doing this big lure, here you go. Let's take a trip to the streets of St. Petersburg. It is fair to say that this level has probably the most brutal start in all of DLTK. Getting past the first 10 metres of this level would be worthy of this list. However, it is just so horrible, and there is a cleverer trick coming up. For context, getting past the first 10 metres of this level is largely luck-based. Essentially, you're running across an opening and blasting bullets to alert as many guards as possible. You run back and forth across their fire and hope that they don't hit you. And you also hope that one of the guards will pull a grenade and throw it at you in such a way that it blows up as many guards as possible, but doesn't blow you up. Far too many hopes in that passage to qualify as any particular trick, so we're going to pretend that that has already been done. The central problem with this level is 2 spawning guards who pop up at various points. They will constantly chase us, and if we manage to kill them, another one will pop up to replace them. The trick used to take these spawning guards out of the equation is one of the most ingenious in all of DLTK. To make evading these guards nigh on trivial, we are going to abuse 3 properties that are specific to these guards. First, we will try and synchronise the spawning of these guards so they are roughly in the same position at the same time. These guards spawn at 5 and 9 second intervals, and they also spawn after we pass certain trigger points. Second, if the guards don't see Bond, they will run to Bond's location. If, when they get there, they still can't see Bond, they will repeat the process. They will only complete their action if they see Bond or reach their location. This next action includes running to the next location, shooting, or being deleted from the game. Third, guards can't climb. Combining these 3 properties leads to one of the most ingenious strategies devised in service of DLTK. If a guard targets Bond in a location and that happens to be above ground level, for example on this handy-dandy tank, then the guards will never be able to complete his action. This means that the guard will not be able to chase Bond, nor will the game be able to delete him. Now, if both guards are synchronised, then both will be in the same position and trying to accomplish the same Sisyphean task of climbing the tank. So the solution is to manipulate the guards such that they wind up endlessly attempting to get on top of the tank, a task they are patently unable to do, and thus have no further part in the level. Hopefully you've followed all that, but no worries if not. Let's show you how this is done. And that should be sufficient. There is some natural variability in the guard timings, but if done correctly, it will work more often than not. You have a clear route to Valentine, a bunch of guards lured outside the Valentine area who are easily dealt with using the grenade launcher, and you can be on your merry way. In Cuba, we've hacked our way through the swampy jungle and find ourselves in Janus Control Center. The level is most famous for the Protect sequence, a 3-minute section where Natalia is hacking a computer whilst alarms are sounding and guards are arriving from all angles. This is a real challenge on any difficulty. Once in the Protect sequence, 4 guards will constantly spawn. 2 are behatted and body armoured, and they will target you, whilst 2 others of the unhatted persuasion will target Natalia. Tough stuff, but imagine how hard this would be on DLTK. 4 guards to deal with simultaneously, out in the open, and some have body armour. Sounds like a recipe for disaster, so I think we're going to have to fall back on some good old-fashioned AI manipulation. To set up one of the most ridiculous laws in Goldeneye, we need to do a couple of things. First, we're going to trick 4 guards down to this big door. Then we are going to place 3 mines. One here, another one here, and another one here. Then we go and stand near the top of these stairs in the main control area. Then we simply detonate the mines, stand for a couple of seconds, and then run to below the stairs. And then we'll just sit here for a bit. And whilst that's happening, I will explain what's actually happened. The detonation of the mines has set off a chain reaction of guards being killed, other guards seeing those guards being killed, and those guards running to the scene of Bond's detonation. 1 guard arrives fairly quickly, with 1 soon to follow. Often you'll get 3 fairly quickly, and if you wait around a bit longer, you can get as many as another 2 or 3 onto the stairs. And what we're essentially creating here is a big traffic jam. An interesting feature, these guards are deaf, so we can make as much noise in the main control area as we want, and these guards will not move. They can see us, but only if we stand right at the bottom of the steps. So this is perhaps one of the most ludicrous of all the invisible walls in the game. But what's the point of this? Well, when we go and get Natalia and bring her down, she will set off the alarm, and those 4 spawning guards will pop into action. The non-hatted guards will target Natalia and can come down either of the steps or by the side of the room. The black-hatted guards will target Bond, and therefore, as long as you are below the stairs, will always try and run down the stairs to get to you. Now hopefully, given you've got 5 guards in the way, they will never be able to get through, so they spend the entire Protect sequence trying to run through the other guards who are just standing there, and will not move for love nor money. And then we can relax. Natalia has bags of health, so she can tank damage for ages before we need to start worrying, and that gives us plenty of time to deal with the guards that target her. Once Natalia is done with her hacking, we just need to escape the level. This is a nerve-wracking experience, but is, perhaps, another tale for another time. Let's go back to Kyrgyzstan, and for the first time in this list we will be repeating a trick that essentially tackles the same area but in a different way. The big box lore from before is undoubtedly genius, however it is an absolute mess. This solution is much more elegant and came into being in December 2021. As before, let's assume that we've got past the silver crates. Once we've removed these 3 guards, we continue to the next corner. We chuck the grenade at an appropriate angle and blast bullets into the nearest guard to alert all others within the corridor and the patroller in the satellite room. Typically this guard is a little slow, so we have to shoot him when he arrives later. Now for the genius bit. We run into the satellite room, eliminate the standing guard and run up the stairs. Make a load of noise to alert 4 guards from Oromov's corridor and blow up as many as possible using this console. Only 4 guards will ever be alerted, the others are quite deaf. With them cleared, we poke out so Oromov can see us. This will trigger his first comment, "Kill him." Incredibly ominous of course, but you've just killed the guards who may have heeded his orders. So, for the rest of the process, he will suffer the dual indignity of being roundly ignored by his supposed subordinates, and will be blindly shooting his Dostave at the place you once stood. You can hear the increasingly distant sound as you continue on your merry journey. However, I digress. The genius of this is twofold. First, Oromov has a timer. After 30 seconds of his first message, he will run away and be no threat to you. This is ample time to complete the rest of our steps, and we no longer need to try and sprint past him. Second, if you remember the previous strategy, there is an inactive guard, who we have made active by reaching the requisite height. Now we return to the catwalk and repeat the lore we performed in the previous strategy. This will send 7 guards hurtling towards us, so we better be quick. Run back to the satellite room, open the door and quickly dart in behind these consoles. Run and crouch under the stairs. Once here, we will see those 7 guards cascading down towards where the bullets were shot. Quickly blow up the nearest console, which should eliminate the guard who may have seen us as we entered the room, and maybe a few guards who might be stuck on the stairs. From here, whilst those guards run off completely oblivious to Bond's actual location, take a picture of the satellite, throw a plastique if you've not already, and we are free to virtually run to the end of the level unimpeded. And there you have it, my view of the top 10 tricks in Goldeneye's DLTK mode. DLTK is a fantastic way of playing the game and has given birth to many ingenious strategies. Where possible, I have given credit for the innovations. However, apologies if I have misattributed any of the tricks discussed. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and good luck and Godspeed.